It's been a marathon of engagements with government workers anticipating a speedy resolution to their impasse with the employer, a matter that has seen the CCMA roped in to coordinate the talks. Labour unions are looking to return to the Public Sector Coordinating Bargaining Council this week with a mandate from the workers on government's proposed 4.7% wage increase. At the commencement of the talks, public sector workers demanded a 12% salary increase, but that has now been revised to 7.5%.
We will wait for the negotiations to resume, and we will look at what the other unions are also going to indicate as far as the results of the mandating process is concerned. But just to recap, if we can get closer to 5.5 to 6%, it's something that we can look at and take back to our members to see whether they are amenable to such an increase.
The Federation of Unions of South Africa, FEDUSA, says they've been monitoring the recent trends in the consumer price inflation as they push their demands amid the high cost of living that continues to affect the working class. FEDUSA is confident of an agreement soon as they also look at mending relations with the employer.
We are on the path now towards improving the trust factor that initially was at an absolute deficit when the process started, given the historical aspects in this instance. Where we find ourselves now is that there's a magic number that we are looking for. Inflation has been revised downwards. So our position at this stage is that when you take into account CPI, we have to look at CPI plus, especially taking into account that there is the notion of a multi-term agreement in terms of stability in the industry. So our mandate at this stage is that we are looking at CPI plus 2.8%, which brings you to the 7.5%. We are looking at all possible options.
The South African Policing Union, SAPU, is currently holding its Central Executive Committee meeting with the issue of public wages top of the agenda. SAPU says the workers reject the 4.7% wage offer.
So the mandate we have received from our members at large, and also the CEC pronouncement declared that we need to push further the offer of the employer that has been on the table. It has not been accepted. Remember, the standard of living is quite very high. When we look at inflation, when we look at the cost of living, when we look at the expenses that workers have to cover, and even the employer only just offering us, that CPI. So we are clearly rejecting it, and as we are preparing ourselves to go back to council sometime next week, we are looking forward to that process because we believe that we really need to conclude these wage negotiations. We really need to go further with the employer, and the employer also have to come to party in terms of making sure that they are looking at all the presentations that we have made.
The labour unions want to conclude the process ahead of the festive season to bring about certainty for the government workers, but say their main target is the 2025 budget speech. They are hopeful that the employer will in the coming sitting take the mandate into consideration and revise the 4.7% wage offer. Katlego Logodi, SABC News, Johannesburg.